Hi, good morning to everyone. So today we have a new tutorial for our MS2LDA 2.0. And in this time, what we will learn to do is how to go and install or how to download the MS2LDA 2.0 repository into our computers and access the visualization app and how to run the command line directly so that we can run the analysis for our MS2LDA 2.0, and then we can start our master motifs and analyze them as we seen in the previous video. So to do this, I will start by sharing my screen. And here we will go, as always, to look for the documentation. So we will first go to the GitHub page of MS2LDA. And as you know, we will go down to the documentation page. And right now, we will go here to the user guide. Let us go to where it says getting started. So right now, here, what we will need to have at this point is to have our input, which is our spectral data. So either an NGF, NZML, or MSP. And after the analysis that we will do today, we will have our master motifs, the spectral motif loadings, and the MotifDB or MAC annotations. So we will see that later. But let us come here to the installation. So MS2LDA 2.0 works on Mac OS, on Linux, and Windows, but we should have Conda installed. So if you haven't done that, then please click here and follow the instructions. So I will go to my Visual Studio session here. And what I will do now is that from the terminal, I will go to a folder that I have here. It's called projects. And here I will clone the MS2LDA 2.0 repository. To do this, I will copy this command line here. And if I go and paste it here in the terminal, it will take a while, but what you can see is that it will directly create a folder where it will actually download all the MS2LDA 2.0 repo. So there should be a file that will allow us to create environments. So let us go to that folder. So we will go to the MS2LDA. We can see what is inside. So if we open that folder or we inspect it, we can see all the files that we also see when we go to the GitHub page. And importantly, here, this MS2LDA environment YAM file, it has the dependencies that we need for MS2LDA in order to run. In this case, you can just leave it like this, but in my case, I will just change here the environment name because I already have a MS2LDA installation running. So I will save it as MS2LDA test. And what I will do now is that we already went to the directory. So right now, I will create and activate environment. So to create it, I will need to use the conda command and do basically here, just conda create. It would select the file, and this file is this MS2LDA environment.yml. After I click enter, it will take some time to go through. So yeah, we can for the moment just wait. So let us wait for a moment and we can continue once it's already downloaded. In the moment that your environment is created, at the end, you should see something like this, where it says that the installation was successful. And basically, then we can use now this command here, which is also in the instructions in the documentation to activate the environment. So as I change the name to MS2LDA test, I will need to activate it in that way. So then I will just do conda activate MS2LDA test. And after clicking, it will take a minute. And then we shall see here on the left that we have seen our environment being activated. So let us wait for a second. So as we can see here, then we get here the environment in which we are, so MS2LDA test. So by this, we should have access to the different functions that MS2LDA can run. So let us go back to the documentation. So basically, in this moment, we are already here. So we are within our environment for the tool. So let us go here now to the MS2LDA Biz app guide. So right now, basically, we should be able to launch the app and from which we could run our analysis. So here we can do this. And yeah, then let us go back. So if you are in using a Linux or a Mac, then you should use the .sh file. But if you're in Windows, you use the .bat file. So let us do the first one. So I will just copy it and I will go back to my terminal. I will paste that there and let us wait. So right now, what you can see is that after pasting the command run underscore MS2LDA biz.sh, it says that it will already launch the app. So, but what just happened is that in my browser, this page appear, and basically from here is where we can actually upload our spectral file, and we can run the MS2LDA analysis, so we can actually detect the MAS2 motifs on our data sets. So we can quickly go over it, and here what you can see is that, yeah, this is the run analysis tab. And then we have all the tabs that were very similar to what we explained in the previous video. So basically from here, what you can see is that here is where we can drag and drop or select files. So here we can go to our computer and select those files that we want to see. We want here tune or select the number of motifs that we expect to detect. So like here in this point is 200, but we can set it up maybe between 10 and 100 as is suggested, but it also depends on the data set size and also on the diversity of the molecules that we will expect. We also have acquisition type, the top end matches that we will retrieve from spec to back. Then here we have whether we want to keep unique compounds or we would like to have duplicates from the spec to back hits, whether we are using positive or negative polarity, how many iterations for the LDA training. Here it is already selecting the models for spec to back. So basically, if we would like to go and set up some advanced settings, we could do it here. But in this moment, basically what we can do is that we can maybe run it with the defaults or set it up accordingly to our experiment, where we can actually also try always, it's recommended to evaluate different number of motifs, different number of iterations, so that we can fine tune the results to our specific analysis. So I will just go first and I will load the data set. So I'm selecting now my files. So here I have downloaded data sets from the Zenodo, where the fungal case study is as an NGF file, which I can select, and it is now here loaded. So we use 200 number of motifs, the same as in the preprint, and then everything we can keep in the same way as it is. So right now I will start the analysis by running analysis, and this might take a while, but in this point, basically, it will take us to the point where we started in our previous video. And with this, I guess we can move on, or we can go back, basically, to our documentation page. And here, once we have set up everything, it will run. And then basically we will be here where we can load the results. They will be automatically loaded. And in this point is basically we can continue as we have already done. But what I would like to now explain you is that we can also run the analysis from the command line interface directly. And for this, you should be able to also get some help. So basically, here we have this run analysis.sh file, which is allowing us to run the motif detection, and basically we can get first the help. So here I will go and copy this one. I will go back to my terminal, and I will cancel the work. So just wait for a moment. So I will paste the command so I can get the help. And we can wait for a moment. Great. So here we can see that says that to run MS2LDA analysis from the command line, we get different options. So these are the different commands we can interact with, from setting up with our input MS2 spectral data file, either an NGF, NZML, or MSP file, number of motifs, numbers of iterations, output folder. We can also have different run names or we will need maybe to download some of the models. So yeah, here we can go here. So for example, here, if we will need to download some data sets, we will need to run this. So let us do that. So I will go back here. I will paste this like this. And you will see that it's running at the moment. So this also might take some time. So let us see. Great. So in this point, we have already seen that the downloads were successful. So then we can continue basically with the minimal run. So here, what we will need to set up is the number of the input file, so our spectral data, number of motifs, iterations, and an output directory. So let us do that. So I will copy this and I will edit it here. So I will just double click here. And for our data set, so we need to delete this and paste where our input data is. So here I have our data file, but it could also be another place where you will have your data set. We should leave the spaces. Then we should have here the number of motif, 200, number of iterations. We keep it in 10,000. Add an output folder. We can create a new one. So let us have here. So now we'll create it here, output. I will copy the path and I will paste it here. So then we can copy all this into the command and we can run it. So basically, this is the same that we just did before in the app online. And this will also take some time. They will generate the motif that we would like to have from our data and which we can inspect later on. So after it runs, we will go through the output folder so that you can see what kind of files you will get. So let us wait for a moment. Great. So now we can see that our motif detection have already finished. And basically we can see that it first brings the parameters that were used for running MS2LDA. That's the spectral cleaning. And then it shows us where the model is already, when it has already converged. And then basically it creates the output folder. So what you can see here is that we get these motif figures, which are the comparison of the optimized motifs, also showing the spec-to-spec or the MAC annotations. So we get these folders. We also get the folders with all the master motifs in our data set, the convergence curves, and then we get also the different files that are also here described in the documentation, and which we can use to explore them in either through the command line interface, or we can also explore them in the visualization app, which we already did in the past. So with this, I will say that we have come to the end of this video, and hopefully this was helpful for all of you. If you have any questions, issues, suggestions, please come back to us or get in touch via the GitHub. So have a nice day.